Hello, I'm James Caldwell. In this video, I'm going to play through the 9th and 10th groupings of Mauro Giuliani's 120 right-hand studies, as found in Scott Tennant's Pumping Nylon book. Group number 9 contains only 4 exercises, studies 111 through 114, and group 10 has 6 exercises, numbers 115 through 120. Because these groups are so small, I'm combining them together in this video, and in fact, when I practice these exercises, I combine groups 9 and 10. As always, I'll be playing from the Alfred publication for the larger print size. And in these exercises, there are several differences between Pumping Nylon and Alfred, and I'll point out those differences as we get to them. Number 111 is the first one in Group 9, and there is a couple of differences between Pumping Nylon and Alfred. First of all, in measure 1, on the third beat, the beginning, in Pumping Nylon, there's an E on the first string with a C on the 5th string, whereas in Alfred, it's a C on the 2nd string with C on the 5th string in that position. And also, ending the first measure in Pumping Nylon, the fingerings are the thumb with M, thumb with M, thumb with A on the first string, and that makes sense. In Alfred, however, it's just thumb with M, thumb with M, thumb with M. Really makes no difference. Either one is valid. So here's number 111. In Pumping Nylon, number 112 has a given fingering of PMA. In Alfred, the standard fingering is PIM and the alternate fingering is PMA. It's good to practice it both ways or either way. Also, in number 112, it's important to note that in each measure there's both a C chord on the first 2 beats and a G7 on the second 2 beats. It's the first time we've seen that in any of these exercises. And there's a lot going on in the bass line. In the first beat, the last note is an F. We're playing a C chord, and we have an F on the 4th string, which you can play with the 4th finger. And in the third beat, over the G7 chord, the last note in that group is a C, which you play with the 3rd finger. And the very last note in each measure is a G on the 6th string, which you'll also play with the 3rd finger. So be careful with the bass line. And here's number 112. In Pumping Nylon, number 113 has a fingering given of PMA, which is the alternate fingering in Alfred. In Alfred, the standard fingering is PIM. Again, it's good to practice it either way. Also, in number 113, there's a lot going on in the bass. The first measure is all C, but in the bass line, we do play through a B, which will be the 2nd finger on the 5th string, and an open A, 5th string. And the last note in that measure is the G on the 6th string, which you'll play with the 3rd finger. Also, in the second measure, starting out over the G7 chord, the bass note is an F, 1st fret of the 6th string, and we're going to play that with the 1st finger on the 6th string, while the 2nd finger plays the F on the 1st string, and the 4th finger plays the D on the 2nd string. It's rather awkward to play it this way, but we have to because we need an open D 4th string right after that. So good luck with this one. So here's number 113. pumping nylon, the fingerings in number 114 are PMA to start and PIM to end each beat. In Alfred, its standard fingering is PIM all the way through or PMA all the way through. Doesn't really matter which one you use. Also in number 114, there's a lot going on in the bass line. And in the second measure over the G7 chord, it begins with an F on the 6th string again. This time, however, we can play a bar at the 1st fret to get that low F, and the 4th finger will play the 2nd string D. The reason we start this one this way is because the very next note is a G on the 6th string, and we can get that note out while still holding down the upper notes. So here's number 114. And that completes group 9. Now on to group 10, where things begin to get a bit wild. With number 115 in pumping nylon, the only difference is that in the middle of the first measure, there's an E on the 4th string, and it's indicated to be played with the I finger. So actually, the I is repeated, 3rd string, 4th string, whereas in Alfred, it's the thumb on the 4th string, and the thumb is repeated, 4th string, 5th string. Here's number 115. Number 116 has no differences between Alfred and pumping nylon. Number 117 also has no differences between pumping nylon and Alfred, but there's a lot going on in the bass, including an open E over the C chord and an F sharp in the bass over the G7 chord, which is really strange. Here we go with number 117. Number 118 is a lot like 117, but with a descending arpeggio. And there is one difference between Alfred and pumping nylon, and that is that in the first measure, over the first beat, the arpeggio in Alfred descends into the 5th string C, whereas in pumping nylon, it descends into the 4th string E. The third beat in Alfred does descend into the 4th string E, as does pumping nylon, but it's just that first beat that's different. I'm not sure if it's an error in Alfred or if it's meant to be that way. I play it that way. Here's number 118. Numbers 119 and 120 take a similar idea and incorporate an ascending arpeggio in one of them and a descending arpeggio in the other one. Just so happens in Alfred, 119 has the ascending arpeggio, and in pumping nylon, 120 has the ascending arpeggio. So 119 and 120 have been flipped between these two editions. I'm playing from Alfred, so I'll do the 119 as the ascending arpeggio. Also important to note that in both of these studies, We make use of the G on the 6th string again, even over the C chord. So you might want to play the C chord with your 4th finger on the 5th string C, and leave the 3rd finger available to play the G on the 6th string when needed. So here's 119 in Alfred, 120 in Pumping Nylon. Now for the descending version, number 120 in Alfred, 119 in Pumping Nylon. And that completes groups 9 and 10 of Mauro Giuliani's right-hand studies as found in the Pumping Nylon groupings. You can check the links in the description below for the other groups in this series. And stay tuned to this channel for more essential studies in classical guitar. I've been James Caldwell, and thank you for watching.